Well, it's the end of the year, or rather the beginning of 2019, so it's time to take a look back at 2018 and see just what the top 10 characters of that year were. And I'm not gonna lie, it was a really good year for characters. But since only 10 can make it on this list, don't be too sad if your favorite character doesn't make it on here. With all that said, let's begin.
Bankai Kannon Village Enishime Aratame 仕方ないっすね
Starting things off, we have Kisuke Urahara, the 1000-year Blood War version, which we have to specify since it was kind of a year for Kisuke, not complaining. This character has a really high SP, as well as Frenzy, and a 180% mag strong attack 1. He's also completely immune from poison, making him really good in some inheritance zones and droplet zones, as they often have giant puddles of poison on the floor. However, what really makes this character stand out, and why he made it at number 10 as opposed to some other characters that do end up dealing more damage, whether through status ailments or actual strong attacks, is because Kisuke can raise the dead. That is, at least assuming your allies were alive when you use the special. This brings back anyone who was to 50% of their total health and allows them to continue the mission. It's an ability that is perfect for co-op and unbelievably useful in solo, since it allows you to essentially have 6 characters in things like inheritance zones or droplet zones, and is basically an extra life in Senkaimon, which sooner or later you're gonna need. And while Christmas Nemu also has this ability, Kisuke has the far better damage output, which is why he made it on this list, and spoiler, she did not. Sorry, Gecko.
Shunko, Raiju Senki, Jinryu Kokubyo Senki.
Next up, we have Yoruichi Shihouin, 1000-year Blood War edition. It was also kind of a year for Yoruichi since we had 3 new ones, but this one in particular deserves to be number 9 on this list, since she has a ridiculously high SP as well as Frenzy and debilitating paralysis on absolutely everything. Not to mention that as far as high SP characters go, she's actually got a pretty high attack. It's higher than any other manga character with super high SP, and it also plays into effect of how much damage her strong attacks do. Next, we have this character's special, that in addition to dealing a ton of damage because of the high SP, leaves behind a vortex that surrounds Yoruichi, and is able to do continuous damage for the following seconds. But that's not all this special does, as it also transforms Yoruichi, not just in appearance but also in her strong attacks and her normal attacks. They not only look different, but actually deal more damage, as her strong attacks go from being a 120% mag to 150, and because she has Frenzy, you end up seeing this boost a lot, since it applies to each hit. It also applies to her normal attack, and increases the magnification on that as well, not to mention the range. But wait, because there's actually more that this special does. You see, in addition to changing her, it also completely restores her strong attacks, allowing you to basically make 6 strong attacks in a row without having to wait any time as long as you use your special after the first 3. And when her cat form ends and she changes back, they come back again, so be sure to spam your strong attacks as long as you have that form. This character gives so much.
お前が逃れる術はねえ
Next up, we have Tag Team Toshiro, who's actually in the current pool in the step up, so if you have him, good for you, as he's one of the best possible characters you can have right now. He not only has a really high SP as well as Frenzy, but can inflict debilitating freezing on all of his attacks. And they're pretty good attacks with pretty good range, though unfortunately his strong attack 3 is a full screen, but it's close enough. Still, that debilitating freezing definitely comes in handy, but one of the things that comes in handy the most, and the real reason he made it this high up, is due to his double killer of Arankar and Soul Reaper, as they are the 2 best killers in the game. You're not only more likely to encounter one of these 2 in basically any sort of raid or event, but most of the characters that come out are either Soul Reapers or Arankars, giving Toshiro an advantage over almost any boss. And in this last year specifically, this double killer has become unbelievably useful, thanks to the addition of Senkaimon, that have rooms that basically multiply killers by 5 or sometimes 10 times, making Toshiro twice as useful in areas as ordinary characters. So yeah, if you got him as a filler, you should be pretty happy.
ほな、行くで。逃げても無駄や。僕の炎はしつこいで。
Next up, we have one of the best healers in the game, and one of the characters that caught all of us by surprise, as we did not know these characters were coming. I'm talking about Genichimaru Spirit Society Edition. Now, as I mentioned earlier, he is a healer. Not only that, he also has a strong tech recharge link, which is the best link for a healer to have. He also has a Soul Reaper killer, which is the best killer anyone can have. But healing alone wouldn't get him on this list. He also has a really high SP as well as Frenzy, and can inflict debilitating burn on all of his attacks except for his strong attack 2, which is the heal move. Not only is that recharge link the best thing a healer can have, but it's also the best thing anyone with debilitating burn can have, as it gives you more opportunities to actually use your strong attacks and inflict the burn. This Gin is also ranged, which allows him to deal damage from a distance and keep himself alive long enough to heal the rest of the team. We have seen strong attack recharge healers before. We've actually even seen strong attack recharge healers with burn before, in characters such as Momo. But Gin just does it better, and that's why he's at number 7 on this list.
そろそろ私の冷圧に耐えられなくなってきた頃か。
Coming in at number 6 is Sosuke Aizen, who until recently had the highest SP out of any other character that had Frenzy, and this is a really big deal. But while this title was shortly lived, it doesn't mean that this character is any less devastating. In addition to the high SP and Frenzy, he also has debilitating weakening on everything, and some really good crowd control, thanks in part to his strong attack 2, which is a crawling vortex move. Not only hits more than regular attacks, but also pushes enemies away, and has a higher chance to inflict the debilitating weakening. Not to mention that it helps increase the combo, increasing points and damage in Guild Quest. But one of the most interesting things about this character is his normal attack. It may not deal as much damage as his strong attacks, but they are quite unique. They're ranged, and the final 2 hits have a 360% mag. We've seen this before in other characters, but never twice in one string. In the end, he's just a really high SP debilitating weakening character. Kinda basic, but very effective. Though I will say it is a little bit odd that he has a hollow killer. Maybe it's for when he fought Shinji and he was part hollow, but either an Urahara or Soul Reaper killer would have been better. Still, hollow is a good runner-up.
その攻撃は俺には通用しないよ。反撃といこうか。
Now with Halloween, Christmas, New Year, step-ups, and everything else in between, you might have actually forgotten that this character came out, but I didn't, because he's actually a really good character. Sure, his SP may not be as high as Aizen's, but it's still really high, and he has Frenzy. He can also inflict debilitating paralysis on his normal attack, strong attack 2, and his special, and debilitating freezing on his strong attack 1 and 3. So yeah, this character's got options. He's also got a boosted strong attack recharge link, which is nice considering he actually has the current best strong attack in the game. Now you may be thinking, best strong attack, but Martin, his name isn't Ichigo, or Aizen, or another popular character, but that doesn't matter. The previous best strong attack was held by Shunsui, whose strong attack 2 had a 160% mag, and was essentially a boss killer if you pinned anything up against the wall, or if they were frozen or stunned. Much like that one, this strong attack is very similar, as it's also a boss killer if it pins stuff up against the wall, freezes them, or stuns them. The only difference is, his SP is much higher, and he's actually got the tools to freeze or stun the enemies on him, in the form of his debilitating status elements, allowing him to be able to put himself in the best possible position to deal the most amount of damage, on a strong attack that, by himself, comes back after around 14 seconds. Remember kids, magnifications are important.
お見事。そしてさようなら。君にはもはや後悔させる時間すら惜しい。
Next up we have Urahara, who also has a really high SP as well as Frenzy. Are you starting to see a trend here? Cause not gonna lie, I know everyone who's on this list, and I'm just now noticing this trend. Anyway, in addition to having that really high SP and Frenzy, he's also got debilitating burn on all of his attacks, with the exception of his normal attack. That's still impressive on its own, considering it also has the 360% mag that Aizen had at the end of his attack. Granted, his only comes in one wave. Still, this character has a very impressive set of strong attacks, with his strong attack 2 being a crawling vortex move that helps increase the combo and has a higher chance to deal debilitating burn. His strong attack 1 also pushes enemies back, which is good because he's ranged, and his strong attack 3 is a charge move, which when fully charged goes all the way up to 480 mag, though it doesn't all hit one enemy, since that would be insane. But it does essentially double the power and greatly increases the range, though it's still not full screen. Ryu also has an Urahara killer, and his special could weaken the attack of the enemies. It's not as good as weakening the defense, but it does still inflict debilitating burn, so it's actually a devastating special.
俺の中の力の全部これでてめえを倒す。行くぜ。
Up next is a character that's gonna get a lot of the people that posted calling it New Ichigo's number 1 on the comments on this video to likely dislike this video, but that's okay, since you're entitled to your own opinions. This is the internet. Still, to make it at number 3 across the entire year is no small feat, and this character definitely deserves it. He has the highest SP in the entire game, as well as frenzy and debilitating weakening on all of his attacks. He's also got a boosted strong attack recharge link of 14% and complete immunity to freezing. This character also is no affiliation and has a no affiliation killer. This is both a good and a bad thing, since he's useful against enemies that not a lot of characters have a killer towards, but at the same time, because of that, it doesn't come up as often. However, having no affiliation is very useful, because the logic goes both ways. There's not a lot of enemies that have no affiliation as a killer, so there's not that big of a threat. Now to cool some of you off. Those of you who are saying he has the highest SP, he deserves to be number 1, are right in that he does have the highest SP. However, most of the time, characters with Soul Reaper or Arrancar killers are gonna deal more damage, since those are the enemies we fight against the most. At least for now. I'm sure it's only a matter of time till we see a big change in the game.
見届けるがいい。全てを無に返すこの力を。トルメンタでムルシエラゴ。
Up next, we have the 3rd anniversary version of Ulquiorra, who, believe it or not, actually has the 2nd lowest SP on this list, after Toshiro, and that might actually make some of you mad considering I put him after the one with the highest SP in the game, and they have the same killer. Either way though, he still has a ridiculously high SP, and he can inflict weakening on all of his attacks, except for his strong attack 2. Granted, it's not debilitating weakening, but weakening nonetheless. These two characters were really close though, because Ichigo actually is better for just a standard PvE. However, Ulquiorra is not only good in PvE, he's also decent in PvP because he has poise. And his strong attack 2 is a barrier move that surrounds him with 3 barriers and his allies with 1. In addition to being a barrier move, it's also a boost move. It's the only one of its kind, and the boost lasts for 20 seconds because he has Enhancer. This boost increases his attack, defense, and focus by 33%, increasing his attack to over 850, which is pretty insane and actually does fall into effect when calculating the damage of his strong attacks. Both these abilities make him a team player, not just in PvP but also PvE, and it doesn't even end there, because Ulquiorra also has a boosted link of 25% damage on his strong attacks, and he has a charge move for his strong attack 3, which is also not full screen, but the damage doubles when fully charged, essentially going from a 120 mag to a 240 mag. If they can do this for an Espada, I am super excited to see what the upcoming Nell and Hollybell, Stark, and everybody else is gonna look like. Now before I show you number 1, there are quite a few characters that could make it on this list. I mean like a lot. In fact, this was probably the hardest list I've ever had to make just because there were so many candidates. And while the following 5 aren't runner-ups per se, they were also some of the strongest units we got this year.
Amaino.
ウルブリングってのはね、愛の力なの。
低圧をぶち込んで叩き起こしたいやつがいるんだ。まだ全然使いこなせちゃいねえけどな。
プレゼントを届けに来ましたよ。どうぞ受け取ってください。メリークリスマス。
ジ・オールマイティが未来を改変する力だ。さあ、絶望してくれるなよ。
これで全部終わりだ。
And at number 1, we have True Bankai Ichigo. Now before some of you say, oh, he likes Ichigo, that's why he's putting him at number 1, blah 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 blah. No, my favorite character is actually Kisuke, who ended up at number 10 on this list, followed up by Yoruichi, who was number 9. The reason he's number 1 is because he rightly deserves it. This character is incredibly versatile. He has one of the highest SPs in the whole game, as well as Frenzy, and some really good strong attacks with really good range. He's also for some reason got a Soul Reaper killer, which is the best killer in the game, and a strong attack recharge link, which really plays into why this character is so good. In addition to this, he's also got complete immunity to paralysis and weakening. And now comes the good stuff, because this character is also a boost character. meaning his strong attack 2 is a boost move and he's got enhancer. And because this character has a strong attack recharge link, it means it's an infinite boost, which means you can always have it on, since it lasts 20 seconds and it takes around 19 for it to come back. However, his boost move is better than any other character's, at least when it comes to himself, because not only does it increase everybody's attack, defense, and focus by 33%, but when it comes to Ichigo, it also increases the magnifications on all of his attacks with the exception of his special. So while you do have some characters such as Toshiro who have an increased magnification on only one of their strong attacks, and characters like Yoruichi who get a magnification of 150 on the strong attacks but only for a limited time, Ichigo gets his magnification at all times since his boost is infinite. It may only be 140, but it's active at all times, and his magnification on his normal attack also goes up, which is a pretty big deal because at that point his normal attack is useful, since his attack is essentially over 850, and that's before any increase by accessories. He's also more durable because of the defense increase, and has an increased chance of inflicting critical damage. Now it is important to note that this infinite boost only applies when you have strong attack recharge as links, because without them the boost move wouldn't come back as often, but even still it makes this character incredibly versatile and gives you the ability to build him in multiple different ways, all while letting him continue to deal more damage than normal and be a really good support character, which is why he's at number 1. Good lord, that was a long video to make, and one that honestly I didn't want to do, because I knew how controversial it could have been. Still, you guys wanted it, and so for the people, it has been made. So if you like this video, hit like and subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for following top 10 lists. If you had a problem with this list, there is a very special video I'd like to direct you to, and it's linked in the description below. With that said, I hope everyone has a great 2019, and I cannot wait to see what this game has to offer.